Department of Trade and Industry is currently hosting day 2 of the 9th session of the South Africa-Saudi Arabia Joint Economic Commission in Pretoria. The objective of the forum is to provide companies from the two countries with a platform to engage on bilateral trade and investment opportunities while simultaneously affording them access to senior decision makers and key stakeholders. Newzroom Afrika's Pelane Phakgadi is going to make sense of all of that for us, explain it in simple language. Mr. Phakgadi, what exactly is this relationship between South Africa and Saudi Arabia that these two countries are trying to foster? Because, importantly for our country, economic progress is what we are looking for, and that's why the President is on this drive over 5 years to get this country investment of upwards of 1 trillion rand. How far are we?
Well, investments are very important to ensure that the economy of our country gets to have a little bit of movement. You've seen that every single report from Stats SA on a year-to-year basis gives you an indication that we are not growing as far as the economists would want us to be growing here in the country, so that you can be able to further ensure that there is a thrust of investors in the country. And only when there is, policy certainty and there's as well as a stable leadership that one would add is that those environments becoming prone for the country to grow its economy. But the important ties now between Saudi Arabia and South Africa, I mean, Saudi Arabia is South Africa's second largest trading partner in the Middle East. It gives you an indication that there is strong ties. Talking about the 9th session, so every single other year they do hold this particular session so that they can be able to hold these bilateral relations and interact as to which kind of markets are they going to be able to tap into and be able to be in a position to ensure that they bring about those much economic ties. I can even give you some numbers. The Saudi Arabia interactions, our exchange with them, it stood at about 66 billion rand in 2021 already, and of course with South African exports at about 5.5 billion rand and imports from Saudi Arabia amounting to about 60 billion rand. So there is that finances that are moving between the two countries. Let me bring in, of course, the acting DDG in Invest SA, that is Yunus Hussein. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newzroom Afrika. How important is Saudi Arabia to South Africa while you are trying to strengthen these bilateral relations?
Good morning. Saudi Arabia is very strategic to us. It's one of the fastest growing economies, significant infrastructure development in that country, and a significant investor globally. To South Africa, investment is important, more so for us, the market access for our value-added products, because Saudi Arabia is a major consumption of products, particularly our food products. We're looking for greater market access and greater market share, for example in citrus. We're looking at new markets for meat products to first prove the meat protocols for South African meat products to get into that market. So it's a significant market for us. This 9th Joint Economic Commission brings together us, that strategic partners, for a two-way relationship in investment as well as in trade.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you then, what was the main or the core interactions yesterday? This is day 2, and of course, what I could say stood out for you that you'd say this is part of the successes of the interactions that we've had with Saudi, and today perhaps some of those you'll be able to share with us during the media briefing.
Sure. For us, I think the most important thing was the launch of the South Africa Saudi Arabia Business Council. That would give us great impetus for business-to-business engagements and projects for investment and trade between business. Ultimately, this is about business. Government's role is to unlock and create that environment for it to flourish.
Which do you have a list of companies, South African companies, that will also be benefiting in Saudi Arabia, so that this is a two-way stream? It's not only Saudi Arabian companies benefiting here in South Africa.
So a lot of the careful selection, and I think in areas of pharmaceutical and healthcare, also in areas of tourism and hospitality, in lifestyle entertainment. As you know, as I said, they're building new cities there. There's a need for new film, cinemas, studio capacities, cultural heritage. So it's beyond our norm, but looking at the major value add that we can provide in terms of our industrial capacity and how we diversify our investment relationship into South Africa, into Saudi Arabia, and investment from Saudi Arabia. You'd recall a major company such as Aqua Power invested in our renewable energy. They are quite pleased. They want to invest more. So it's about talking to other companies on that scale to invest in South Africa.
As you conclude, Eunice, just give me an indication now about what are some of the things that you are learning. One of the things that I think it is important for South Africa is about the red tapes, the industrialization of it, where there is so much, policies around it. What are you learning from Saudi Arabia as far as ensuring that you are able to invest without having to follow so much red tape as far as processes are concerned?
Look, what they've done in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they've created a Ministry of Investment that works seamlessly to assist companies on the ground. We do the same. So we're strengthening our collaboration with them, for them to assist our companies when they go out there, and for them to assist our companies when we come to South Africa. So it's a strengthening of a relationship between Invest SA, part of the DTIC, and the Ministry of Investment in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
So thank you very much there. Of course, he's the acting director, deputy director general there in the Invest SA, the subsidiary of the DTI. Just giving us an indication, of course, about the bilateral relations here, some of the things that could be very well agreed upon here, and how Saudi Arabian companies could be able to invest here in South Africa, and vis-a-vis South African companies be able to invest back in Saudi Arabia and make those economic impacts so that there could be growth in the economy. But I'm sure it's also going to be talking about those small and medium enterprises that could be able to play a role, and here in South Africa be able to create those much needed jobs. Oli?
Pelane, Phakgadi, thank you very much. Very important conversations that ought to take place there. Thanks for the time being.